Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Cloud and Data with Kaushik. So today we are going to discuss one important concept of data science, that is data wrangling. Okay, so there are many steps are involved in the data wrangling part. Okay, so we can take a look on it step by step. So without any delay, we can let's get started. Okay, the, the concept of data wrangling and how it works. So we already in my Jupyter notebook lab, you can see. So first we have to know the concept or the definition of data wrangling, right? So I'm writing over here. Just a minute. Yes. So what is data wrangling? What is data wrangling? So we can say it is the process of converting and formatting data from its raw form to usable format. Further down the data science pipeline, that we can see the concept or the definition of data wrangling, right? So we can say it's a process. So you can converting and you can also formatting the data from its raw form. So when we collect the data from the various sources, right? So this data we cannot directly feed to my data science pipeline. We have to massage the data. We have to create some kind of conversion process, okay? And we also use some kind of formatting process. The whole concept, okay, is that called data wrangling. So this is the definition we can say. Next, what we are going to cover in this lesson that I'm adding over here, okay? So in this session, we will cover the following concepts with the help of a business use case. So you can understand. First is data acquisition. Data acquisition. Second is different methods of data wrangling. We can say different methods of data wrangling. What's the method? Like March dataset. So in a real world scenario, whenever you are working with the data, you cannot get only one dataset, right? You have the multiple dataset. And with the multiple dataset, you have to work on them. So for that, you have to merge your dataset. So like first.csv, second.csv, okay? This CSV you have to merge. So I'm first writing the outline, then we are going to hands-on part, so you can understood. datasets, concatenate dataset, identify unique values. That I'm going to write over here. And check the dimension of the dataset. And check the data type of the dataset. Data type of the data sets. Next, we can check the summary. That is called 5-point summary, right? Mean, mode, median, first quartile, second 25% quartiles, 50% quartile. So this summary we are going to check. So check data type summary. And treat the missing values. That is also important concept. And also validate correctness of the data. Correctness of the data in primary level if applicable. Okay. So as of now, we are good to proceed this session. Just I'm going to add all the things. So like merge the data set dimension and also check the data type. So everything is going to scratch, okay? If you have any doubt, any problem, so please let me know. So accordingly, we can concern about this problem, okay? So that I'm going to cover. This is the agenda of the session, right? Of this session. And next, we have to also understood what is the need of data wrangling. What is the need of data wrangling? Why the data wrangling process is needed? So without we can write or we can say without feeding proper data into a model, one cannot expect a model, one cannot expect a model that is dependable and gives higher accuracy and provides higher accuracy. Okay, so one very common term in the industry is used. So garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you provide to your model without messaging your data, right? There is no formatting, no conversion of the data from the raw form. So it also model also provide not good accuracy. So that is called garbage in and garbage out. In common term in the industry is that garbage in and garbage out. Okay, so if you're not providing good set of data, the healthy amount of data, the consistency of data, so it will not work properly. Because ultimate goal is what? We have to feed our data into our model, right? And model, there is, after providing the data into our model, there is some few steps, right? So model have to feed and have to predict. But if your data set is good, if your data set follow this kind of rules, right? Like your treat missing values, you have to identify the unique values, all kinds of, you have to validate the correctness of the data in primary level, all of the things, then your model will predict in better way. The accuracy of the model, that will be good, right? So that is the why data wrangling is very much important. We cannot do the data from the getting from the data source. So we have some data source, we have got all the data, and we cannot directly feed into our model. In between, there are many steps are involved, and these steps accumulately, or in a summary we can call data wrangling process, right? So one problem statement that I'm going to add, problem statement. Okay. So like you are a data scientist, or you are a junior data scientist, and you are assigned a new task. You are assigned a new task to perform data wrangling on a set of data set, on a set of data sets. The data sets, the data sets have many ambiguities. Okay, so you have to identify those. You have to identify those and apply different data wrangling technique to get a data set for further use case, for further use case. Okay, so that is my problem statement. Assume that you have given a new task, whatever your position, junior, senior, that is not the agenda, right? So you have assigned a new task, and you have to perform the data wrangling on a set of data set, right? The data sets have many ambiguities, so you have to perform the data wrangling techniques. So first, you have to doing some kinds of hands-on part, right? So first you have to import the libraries. import the libraries. But before going to import the libraries, you have to the data set, you have to some kind of looks that you have to some focused on that, right? Like attribute information. If your data have date, so date of the write, you have substation, so it's a spring, summary, fall, winter. It's a, assume that these kind of things are there, okay? So that we have to consider. So data set, but first we have to import the libraries and then we are going to proceed further these things, okay? Import libraries. So pandas, we all know. Pandas, we can use panda library, pandas library, right? So pandas is a high level data manipulation tool and also numpy. Numpy used for numpy is used for working multi-dimensional array with multi-dimensional arrays. Okay. So these two libraries we are going to add, means import. So let's take a look on it. We have to import pandas as PD and we have to import numpy as NP. Okay. So pandas and numpy has its own documentation. If you want to explore more, obviously you can go and check like pandas. Official documentation. Okay. So everything is mentioned inside this pandas library. So you can see that user guide, API development, everything is there, and how you can start, how you can use that API references, all kind of things are jotted down in their official documentation. Okay, the pandas documentation. And if you want to explore more in the NumPy, same, you have to write NumPy official documentation. So this is the official website of their NumPy. Okay. So entire things, everything will be jotted down in there. So I also copy this link and add here. Okay. So I have uploaded the entire IPYNB file. There's no notebook file, so you can explore from there. So also copy and paste. Okay, these two libraries. And in the Google Colab, this is the cell, right? And how you can run the cell? So you just click on this button or you have to use Control plus Enter. Okay. So you can see your libraries are properly added. And now we have to check the version. Now we have to check the pandas version, right? What I'm going to write? Print only one line code dot show underscore versions. So you have to add the method, not the properties, okay? Then you can show. Everything is given. OS, version, machine, pandas, numpy. So whatever the installed version they have given. You can write pd dot show versions, and if you add this method, means these brackets, right, then only it can show. But if you write on pd dot show version, then show version will be, I also write, if you write only pd dot show versions, then it will be treated the memory location. It will not show everything, okay? But if you write pd dot show underscore versions method, then everything for the installed version will be showing. Okay. So as of now, we can see there is no issues, right? Next, what I'm going to do, load the data set. So first, you have to connect the source of your data, right? You have to connect the source of your data. So what I'm going to do, I'm also write the heading. So load the first data set. Load your first data set. And you can see in the left side, I have some data set, right? Rental bike, final rental bike. So these data set I am going to use in my demo. Okay. So first I am going to load the data set. Dataset underscore one. And how you can write or how can read pd dot, you can pd dot read underscore csv. Okay. This read CSV is a method of pandas library to read the CSV file. If you have different extension, right? So pandas has provided, like if you want to read the Excel file, XLS file, so pandas has different methods. If you want to read the JSON, so pandas has different method. So in my case, as of now, we are going to read the CSV file. So just comment here, read the CSV file. Okay. So this data set I'm going to read. So just select or hover on there, right click, and you can see the copy path option. Okay. Just copy this path and paste over here. Okay. You no need to think about that, how what will be my location, the path location, right? You just select of any of the data set, and you can see one background is coming, that is hover, right? Just select on this and right click, and you can see different kind of options. So just copy your path and paste over here. So automatically it will recognize the path and it will adding in your pd.read CSV, right? And now press Ctrl plus Enter or run the shell. Okay, you can see there is no error for the execution part. So that means my dataset is loaded, means read. pd.read means Panda can read this dataset, this CSV dataset, right? Which dataset? The extension is CSV. The extension of my dataset is .csv. We are using read underscore CSV method. Okay. So what the observation that I'm going to write over here? Observations. So we have to upload the dataset. Data sets in the file explorer or session explorer. So in Google Colab, this is called session, right? So you have to, you can see upload to session storage. This storage is session storage. That means if you disconnect this Google Colab lab, so this CSV file will not be there. So that's not the use case for my discussion. So you have to upload. What step we are going to perform, right? So you have to upload your dataset from anywhere in the file explorers or session storage. On the left panel of your notebook. Okay. Second, we are reading the files. We are reading the file through the dataset variable. The data set underscore one variable. So this is my dataset underscore one. This is my variable name, and that I'm going to add over here. Okay. Third step, the file is CSV format. The file is in CSV format. Extension of the file. Okay. Extension of the file. We can say, and we use the pd.read underscore CSV method. This is my method name. Okay. Function to read a CSV file. Then we provide the exact path. Then we can provide the exact path of the file within the round bracket. Okay. So this is my observation from these steps, right? That I am going to add it over here. Next task, we have to check the type of the dataset. Okay, what type of dataset? So this is my dataset underscore one, right? So what is type that I am going to add? Let's write check the type of data set. Only one line of code, that is print, or you can also write type and add your dataset underscore one variable. Okay, and click or run the cell. So you can see it's showing pandas.core.frame.dataframe. So we, as of now, we are going to read the CSV file from pandas library, right? So that if you check the type of, anyone can ask you that how can we show the type? So just simply type this line, type dataset underscore one. What is the observations? Now I'm going to add the observations. Observations. Okay. The result shows that the data set is data frame. That is very important concept, data frame. So it's a structured format, right? Data frame, CSV or any kind of thing. So our ultimate goal is that anyhow we have to create the data frame. You can manually create with your own static data and you can create the data frame. Either you can read your CSV file with the help of pandas library. So you can also provide the data frame. Second, data frame is a tabular structure, right? That I'm told you. It's a tabular structure consisting of what? Rows and columns. That's great. So it's a tabular structure. We have to understand of consisting rows and columns, right? No, we are not going to see as of now the data. We just check the type. I will come one by one. So this is step by step learning, right? We will come one by one. No issues for that. So every important concept I'm going to cover here. So this is the observation, right? Next, we have to check the shape of my data set. Shape of the data set, right? Just take one line of code. Data set underscore one. This is what? Your data source variable, right? Here you can store your pd.read.csv, whatever the content is there, it is stored. So means data frame is here. You can see here it's written the data frame, right? And you can check the save, dot save, and press Ctrl plus Enter or run the save. So here we can see 610, 10 inside the first, inside the brackets, right? So what is this? So we already told data frame is a tabular structure consisting of your rows and columns. That means 610 is your rows and 10 is your columns, right? Let's try to add the observations. Observations. But the data set underscore 1 has 610 rows and 10 columns. That we can say. We have 610 rows of this data set or not data frame. So this terminology we have to practice. So we have to add the right terminology of each and every concept, right? So this is my data frame and it has 610 rows and 10 columns. So this dataset underscore 1 is a variable, right? Now we are going to see the data that anyone has asked, right? Me, how we can see the data, right? Next, we can see the data. Take one text and write the heading. Print first 5 rows of the data set. How can we do that? Copy the datasets underscore 1 and dot head method. So just hover in the method, right? You can see returns the first n rows and the definition. This function returns the first n rows of the object based on position. And you just scroll down. N, the init is the data type, and that means integer data type this n will provide. Default 5. If you not mentioned anything inside the bracket, it will return 5 rows. That we have to remember. And also remember, we have to provide the integer value. We cannot write this thing 5 or 2. Just write and execute the cell. You can see some errors are happening, right? Cannot do positional indexing or indexer 2 of type string. That means this integer value only accept. That we can prove. Just run the cell and you can see dataset underscore 1 dot head has provide 5 rows. And also remember these rows will start from the 0 index. It will start from the 0 index. The index value is 0. That means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 to 4 is the 5 rows that will provide. Simple dataset dot head. If you want to see only 2 rows, right? What I'm going to do, if I also add this line, by default, data frame provides 5 rows. There I am not going to add anything, and you also see in their repositories and their documentation, right? In int, and that will be 5. You can see. Okay, and now if I want to get only 2 rows, what I'm going to do, dataset underscore 1 dot head and pass the integer 2 n. N means n number of type. Just press Ctrl Enter. So you can see 0, 1 means 2 rows they have provided, right? If you not mention anything, it will provide 5 rows. If you mention the number, then accordingly it will provide. So what is the observation that I'm going to add? Observations. The data set underscore one dot head function displays only the initial 5 rows of the data set, and if I want to get only specific number of rows, then only we can provide the number inside this as number as parameters, and that will be integer data type inside this this head method. This is my observation of these following activities, right? So I hope as of now there is no confusion. Then we are going to load the second data set, and here my data type is excellence, not CSV, right? So just add the headline, load the second data set. You can load your second data set. Data set underscore 2 is equal to ed dot read. You can see if you write read and stop for some time, so you can see there are different kinds of methods of reading your data set, right? You can see read underscore HTML, read underscore Excel, read underscore CSV, read underscore JSON, read underscore parquet method. So there are n number of reading the data set, right? So no confusion. So if you have the JSON data, that will also read. If you have the HTML data, that will also read. Now here I am going to read the Excel file. So accordingly, as per the extension, our method will be changed. So I will take read underscore Excel. So I am going to write over here, as per the extension, our reading method will be changed. So here I am going to add read underscore Excel, and I am going to read this file. Just go and copy the path. Okay, and just paste. There is no confusion and there is no error. Just hit Ctrl plus Enter, or you can run the cell. You got some error. Excel file format cannot be determined, and you must specify an engine manually. Now I'm going to read the XLS file, right? So you can see I have, as per the extension, the read method will be changed, right? So we can write pd dot read underscore excel, and you have to add the Excel's data source. Okay, data file name. Just click over there. So my Excel file is reading successfully. Now we can see the shape of the data. We already load, and now I am going to see the shape of the data set. Shape of the data set. Okay, and just copy dataset underscore 2 dot save, right? That we already show this thing. And here we can see I have 610 rows and 8 columns. So I'm writing the observations over here. Observations. The result shows that data set underscore 2 has 610 rows and 8 columns. Okay, there is no confusion on that. Next, we have to print the first 5 rows. Print the first 5 rows of the data set. Not head. That we already shown in the first example, right? So 0 to 4, that means 5 rows is setting. I'm also adding the observation, so you can also understood from my text. And if you have any doubts, so please let me know. Observations. We can see a column named unnamed 0, right? Which is not in the data dictionary. Data dictionary. So we have to remove that. So these kind of things is called data wrangling. So you can see unnamed dot 0. So we have to rectify these things, and we can provide the rest of the things after that, right? So we have to remove this. We have to remove this. Okay, so drop the column. This is the observation from this second data set. Write the observations. Okay, go to the code and you have to drop the column. So just write drop the column. How can you drop? Data set underscore 2 is equal to data set underscore 2 dot drop, and you have to specify the column name in the array of form. That means number of rows you can add inside the array, right? So what is my column names? So before dropping the column, that is one important means we can get the column name. Also we can see we can get the columns name. Okay. Just do one thing. Dataset 2 dot columns. And here you will able to see the columns name. Okay. There are these are the columns name in the form of array. You can see or list in the Python's language. Unnamed 0. Comma axis is equal to 1. So axis means not minus is equal to 1. This is a parameter that I'm going to add over here, and then we are going to drop this column. And same thing we are going to update. So add we are using dot drop method to remove the specified column name and also update this data source. Okay, and just run the cell dataset underscore 2 and you can drop. Now we are going to check with the shape. First we are going to check the shape if this specific column is removed or not. Let's check the shape of the data set again after the drop. You have to re-verify these things, right? Make it bold and dataset underscore 2 dot set. And you can see here showing 7 instead of 8. So earlier we are going to see the shape and that was 8. You can see dataset underscore 2 dot shape here showing only 8 means 8 columns and 600 rows, right? 610 rows and 8 columns. Okay, here we can see 610 rows but 7 columns. That means one column that has been removed successfully. Okay, and also add the observations so you can also understood properly. I'm going to add the observations. One, we had 8 columns before the drop, right? Before the drop, we can write this thing. And when we check the shape of the file after the drop, we can see that the column unnamed 0 has been dropped. Yeah. So these are the observations from these previous two activities. Next, we have to see same top 5 rows, right? Print the top 5 rows of the data set of the data set. And I can write also, let's check the data set underscore 2 again. Okay. Data set underscore 2 got head. So by default, top 5 rows will come. And you can see unnamed colon 0 that has been removed. So I'm also adding the observations. So this is called the step-by-step learning. So we have provided all kind of use cases that is required in your day-to-day activities in the data science environment, right? So observations that I'm going to add, data set underscore 2 does not have unnamed 0 column. Okay. Now the one concept on use case, that is merge the data set. That is also important concept that we have to use over here, right? Merge the data sets. First, we have two data set currently, right? Data set 1 and data set 2. Data sets underscore 1 and data set underscore 2, right? As both data set have one common column, and that is instant. How can I check the common column, right? Just write check the column's name of your data set underscore 1. So just copy data set underscore 1 dot columns. Instant. Next, or also can print at the same cell. Okay. So just go and copy and 2. And you can see instant is the common column between the two data set, right? So that is the reason I'm going to add. So you have to merge means in SQL join kind of things. So here in pandas we can merge the concept, but the syntax and all the things is different. So instant, and let's merge the datasets on that basis of common column. Third point, we are going to save the result. So after merge, right? We have to hold all of the things in the variable, but we can save in the different data set, right? So we are going to save the result data inside the combined underscore data as shown below. Means I'm going to add the code over there, right? So that I'm going to add. Let's go and write the code. Just take a cell on that. So variable name is combined column. Already written over here. Combined data. And just bold it so you can understood. And you can write here. Combined data is equal to pd.merge. This is the command pd.merge. pd.merge is a method to add or merge these two datasets. So dataset 1 is my first source of data, right? Dataset underscore 1. I am also add datasets underscore 1 is my first source of the data, and data set underscore 2 is my second source of the data. You can write this thing, and one common column name is instant. Okay, so data set 1 and data set underscore 2, and on means which column. On that basis of that column we are going to merge. So instant. Okay, and just run the cell. So your combined data is merged. Now we have to check the shape first. Now we are going to write check the shape of combined data set. Okay. So combined data dot shape. Here you can see 16 columns, right? So these columns are merged. So that is the reason columns are increased. So here 610 rows and 16 columns. Okay, so I'm going to add the observations. What's my observation? Observations. the shape of the combined data has 610 rows and 16 columns. So I hope there is no confusion on that. Now we have to take the first 5 rows, that is common. So top 5 rows of the combined data set. Okay, and you can add combined data dot head. And you can see all the data are merged. The columns are increased, right? This is the first rows and this is the second data source, and we can merge accordingly. And one specific thing in that they have also suggested the charts on every data frame. You just click on there, the charts are coming. That is not the our the discussion point, but for the extra knowledge, I just going to show you these things. Anyway, we are going to proceed further. Now load the third data set. Now you can write. Now we are going to load the third data set. The data set the third data set we are going to load. So write data set underscore 3 is equal to, here also we are going to read the CSV file. So pd dot read underscore CSV, and the final rental bike dataset dot CSV, just copy the path and paste. Here. Okay. So just write read the third data set. Press Ctrl Enter and dataset 3 dot save, and you can check the rows and columns of the third data set. Right? So here we can see 390 rows and 16 columns in the third data set. So add the heading, check the shape of the data set. Data set. Now we are going to do one thing, top 5 rows. So write top 5 rows of the data set. Data set. dataset underscore 3 dot head. And you can see our dataset is loaded, the top 5 rows or first 5 columns, right? Now, second use case is that we always not showing from the top, we are also showing from the bottom, right? So right bottom 15 rows of the dataset. So what will be the comment and how we can going to see that? So here I'm going to write the comment and the text just like the head function or methods, the tail function or methods is used to see head and tail. Tail means bottom. To see the bottom rows of the data set. Data set. Okay. And if you want to see the specific number of rows, then specify the number inside the bracket as shown below. So I'm going to execute the comment. So just go to the cell and write dataset underscore 3 dot tail and add 15. So last 15 rows from the bottom, not from the top, right? That will be showing. And if you are not going to like 375 to 389, but last 5 rows or bottom 5 rows, the same comment, just like head datasets underscore 3 dot tail, default 5 rows by default also. So data set underscore 3 will be there. Just copy and just add. You can see the parameters default 5. Same thing. Just like or just opposite of head. So 385 to 389. Tail is opposite method of head. Tail method showing the last 5 rows of the data frame, and head method showing the first 5 rows or top 5 rows of the data frame. Okay, or bottom 5 rows. Add the observations, same thing, just I'm going to add as a note, so you can prefer it. The bottom 15 rows of the data set underscore 3 is shown above, right? And we mentioned 15 and inside the bracket. And here we can see that the rows, can write rows are not sorted. That is the next use case. Sorted will accordingly to the instant number. Okay, so let's do it in next cell. So you have to sort. Sort is not what correctly sorted this data, right? So short values of the columns, you can write short value of a column. We can write to sort the value per hour so we can use short underscore value. Okay, this is the method. Short underscore values function, and in the function or method, not function or method. So we specify the name of the column by which we want to sort. That is meaning. Okay. So let's do the coding part. Just go to the code and write data set underscore 3 is equal to data set underscore 3 dot short values, right? Short underscore, you can see values. So just hover over here and you can see short by the values along either axis. There are some parameters and there is these things they have added. So you can just hover and you can get all the information from there, right? So parameters, string or list of string, name of the list. So you can add this name of the list and add of means inside the list array, right? So just write sort values and by which, that means by is a keyword. We can add by over here. You can see this is given already, the by. So you add the by is equal to array means or list means more than one column you have to add. If you want to add sort between two columns, so that is the reason I'm going to add array or sort array or list. Array or list, not and. Both are same, array or list. Okay. So that write instant. Okay. And press Control Enter and just add one line. Let's check head and tail to verify the sort operation. Okay, on top of the dataset 3. Dataset 3 dot head and press Ctrl Enter. You can see first time before the sort that will coming the different numbers 620, 621. So after the sort that will be coming as the index. So 381, 385 and then dataset underscore 3 dataset underscore 3 dot tail dot tail. Now next use case is that we have to concatenate. Or do one thing, then okay, I'm going to do this thing. Concatenate the combined data with data set underscore 3. Let's concatenate both data frame combined underscore data and data set underscore 3 into a single data frame. So you have to merge or concatenate data frame. Okay. Using the concat function. Okay. Let's do in the hands-on part for the concatenate. And also one use case that I'm going to forget, that is store the final data frame inside the final underscore data variable. Okay, so just write final underscore data is equal to pd dot concat. So concat method here add, right? Use the pd dot concat method for combined the two data frame. That is the pd dot concat, and you have to add this one. Your combined data is ready. Combined data, comma, data set underscore 3. Data set underscore 3. Right? And press Control Enter. Final data. Now, same thing. First, we have to check the shape. Check the shape of the new data set. What I am going to write? Final data. Final data dot shape. Press Control Enter or run the cell. You can see 1,000 rows and 16 columns. That means two data set are merged. 1,000 rows and 16 columns. And add the observations. Now the final underscore data has 1,000 rows and 16 columns. Okay. Is there any confusion or any questions? So please let and ask me this thing. Now, what I'm going to do? Display the columns of the final data frame, right? Let's display the columns of the final underscore data frame. Let's do this thing. You can write final underscore data is equal to final underscore data dot rename. So you can also change the name like columns is equal to you have to add the columns name. Any doubts, any questions? You can ask me. I'm waiting 1 or 2 minutes and then we can start the rest of the things. Like add these things 1 minute. Yes, so add so there are columns DT day. Yes, so this is the columns of your data set 3 and you have to rename. Like this thing, you have to copy, you have to replace his date. Okay. And year, that can be year. YR was there and you have to replace it. YR. Okay. Next month. And I have to add month. And you have HR means hour. So basically we are going to rename these columns. And that is hour. Comma, weather, this thing, weather sheet. That rename is weather. And humidity, something was there. Yes, hum. That will be humidity. So you have to provide the proper naming convention, and that's the reason I'm going to rename. This should be humidity. and CNT kind of thing. So yes, CNT last CNT, that will be your count. Okay, so this is the final data. Just please concatenate. So my final data is ready. Now we are going to check the first 5 rows and also check the name is changed or not. First 5 rows and also check that columns name are changed or not. So final data not head. You can see year, month, hour, humidity, hum was there, humidity, and last something I did CNT count. So we can successfully rename. So we can write is rename the final data frame. So just not display, rename the columns. Okay. Next, we have to see the data types of the each column, right? So next use case is that I'm going to write here data types of different columns have. We have final data dot t types. You can see integer, date is object, session, year, month, hour. So this is the data types. If you want to see the data types of the columns, so you can write d types. Okay. To check, I am also write to check the data types of the columns or different columns. Then we can use d types and add the observations over there. Observations is that we can see that the majority of our data column are type of integer, means int 64, right? You can see int 64, majority means most of the data type are integer. So so they are therefore 64 bit in 64, right? 64-bit integers. Sum of the columns are of the type float. 64. Here you can write in 64. Yes, so float 64, which implies that they have decimals in the point, right? Float. However, only the date column has an object. So object is also data type, int 64 is also data type, and float 64 is also data type. But date is the object data type, right? Object type. Indicating that it contains string value. So this is the observation from my D type, so data types. Okay. So as of now, I hope there is no confusion. So we are okay to going the proceed further, right? Text, take one another cell, and we can check. Next use case is that for null values. How we can check the null values? Simple comment final underscore data dot is na. Is na method. You just hover and you can see detect missing values. So always it's good practice. You can see the definition in Google Colab or any other ID you are using, na? So their definition will be coming. So you just hover on the method and it will show the definition. So you can see the detect missing values and return a boolean same sized object and indicating if there is value na value such as none or numpy dot n, that is the constructor of nn value of the numpy and gets mapped to true values, right? So just hit and you can see either false or true is coming, right? So most of the I think false. So 1000 rows and 16 columns. Now I'm writing my observation over here. Observations. The is in a function returns data frame of Boolean value. Values that are true for null values. In a huge data set, we can write huge data set, the code given above is not going to help. We do not get enough idea of the null values by looking at the given tabular data set, right? So is NA returns the Boolean values, either true or false, right? The next line, next cell of code is more convenient. Is NA we can use, but what I'm going to write in the next cell, that is more convenient in this case, in this type of use case. You can write. Okay. So what will be my code? Final underscore data dot is NA, and you can make the aggregate sum, and axis is equal to 0. Okay. So 0, 0, 0 and ATM, that is 11. Write the observations. Observations. Is NA dot sum function provides a clear picture of the number of null values in a data frame. So in the given result, you can write this thing. We can see that we have ATEMP, this column, right, has 11. All the observation I'm going to add it, 11 null values. Null values. So I hope you can understand up to that. ATM has 11 null values, right? So as of now, we are going to good, and the next session I am going to add some more concept of the data wrangling. Okay. So if you have any questions, any doubts, so please let me know. and thank you for joining all of you in the session. And please subscribe my channel if you like. And you can also know that this type of content that I am going to create from the scratch, it it, it takes much more, what I'm going to see, that much more effort is required, right? So I hope you can subscribe my channel so we can grow and learn together. And in this way, we can also learn. So please subscribe my channel. It can boost my confidence and we can also learn. And for thank you each and everybody for joining the session. Thanks. The next session, I'm going to discuss some more concept of the data wrangling. Because I don't want to length the video or very lengthy video, right? So just up to that we can practice, and next session I'm going to add more concept, and I will add all the notebooks in my description box, the GitHub link, so you can refer on that and you can practice. So thank you everyone for joining the session, and we can close. Thank you.